And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho, and we are starting things out looking at the sun once again. 94 angstroms view here, showing us a small active region rising. We don't see any sunspots at this point, and we'll let you know by the end of the video if we indeed have any. By the way, if you weren't aware, we are actually streaming live to Twitch right now. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. If you haven't subscribed over there, maybe you want to subscribe over there, as when we put up emergency stuff, we stream live to Twitch because the platform is so good. Here's another view. It's another 48-hour image here, series of images from the SDO. Some filaments down there in the southwest. You can see them right in this area. And we've got some close-ups of that rising active region in the northeast as well. We'll get to it momentarily. And next we'll take a look at helioviewer.org to check out the fields. And not a fully clear view of that active region yet, as it is not fully risen. Here's the fade to 304 angstroms. And you can see those filaments in the southwest as well as the southeast. Next, here's the rising active region in 304 angstroms. And that's 1 day of activity. And finally, we've got the 171 angstroms view of that area. The main area of interest right now on the local yellow dwarf. Probably not a sunspot if I had to guess, because it doesn't have a lot of looping associated with it. And let's look at some data here. The GOES X-ray flux quite flatlined here. No solar flares in the past 24 hours. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is down to 69. And I would note on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, there's a better display of this now. And what I've done is I've shown sunspot number here and 10.7 centimeter radial flux at the same time. And you can zoom in and out of these images. You can go all the way back to the 1750s. So there you go, the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, a great proxy for sunspot number, as the sun does a lot of things besides produce sunspots, folks, and that's part of the reason why we have the channel now. Where are you going to be on Saturday evening? Join us for the solstice stream. We'll be starting at about 5:15 Eastern Time. What will you be doing with your final days of spring, as we are in the brightest 5-day period of the whole year, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, the darkest period? So join us for the solstice stream. We'll be streaming exactly at the moment of the solstice, and we'll be taking in calls, actually. And if you'd like to reach us via regular old everyday telephones and text messages, give us a call or send us a text at the smAsho VoIP line. It's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. That's country code 1610 is the area code. 936-9799. Yeah, that's a lot of nines. Proton flux is also quite flatlined. No surprises there. Here's where stuff is located in the solar system. There's where things will be in a week. And the solstice is right around the new moon, an indication that I'll be sleeping well and in good spirits for the solstice. Here's what's going on above my head. I like to use in-the-sky.org for star charts, and you should see the moon and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn if you're up before sunrise, as well as possibly Venus. Here's some more data. The KP index is currently at 2. Let's look at the magnetic environment. But first, let's look at the real-time solar wind. And we see the phi angle shifting around as we did show prep here. And we saw the solar wind density drop at the same time. So we see the fields increased. You see the BT is all the way up to +5. The BZ is all the way at -5. Phi angle is currently at 295 degrees. Solar wind density just came down as the solar wind speed's going up. Solar wind density currently around 9 protons per cubic centimeter. Check out the solar wind speed. It got all the way down to 275 kilometers a second, folks. Now we're back up to slightly over 300 kilometers a second. And here's a geospace magnetosphere movie. That's 4 hours of data. And since it refreshed, let's let it play all the way through. We should see some indications of that increase in solar wind velocity and decrease in density here toward the last little bit of the movie. There you see some minor perturbations in that. Next, looking at ground magnetic perturbations. Going a little bit closer to home, here's 4 hours of data of what's going on ground level. During this magnetic excursion, when the South Pole has left the Antarctic continent, crept into the southern Indian Ocean, southwest of Australia. The main perturbations we see here are over the Canadian North Pole as opposed to the Siberian one. And if you weren't aware, the net North Pole is somewhere east of Greenland. GOES magnetometer is continuing to look pretty spiky here. We saw an arc jet moment where we had some lost data from the GOES 16. And we're back in the North Pole current sheet, folks. So there's the situation there. And I'm expecting this to remain very sawtoothed over the next 24 hours as we're going to be back in the South Pole current sheet, shown here in red very shortly. Before we do tomorrow's space weather video, we'll be back in the South Pole polarity as the solar polar tug-of-war continues. North Pole field here shown, North Pole current sheet shown in green, South Pole current sheet shown in red. And there's the latest image. And we don't have a field force line, an indication that the data's an hour and 50 minutes old, and we are in the North Pole current sheet as we speak. Next, the line of sight field plot. We see some wobbles going on here with the B field shown in blue. Nothing to write home about there. Electron flux remains incredibly low. There's that downward trend since August of last year. And as the solar wind velocity increases, we are not expecting to see warning levels of electron flux once again. So it looks like a coronal hole wind stream just hitting now as far as the velocity goes, and we won't be surprised to see that velocity at a little higher than background levels over the next 24 hours or so. Total electron content forecast shown here. We see small anomalies at nighttime over the Caribbean. Nothing too crazy. GPSs should be working quite well. Next, looking at one layer, as the last one was the entire air column, this is just the ionosphere. And the ionosphere is looking wobbly and abnormal. Kind of all over the place there. And keep in mind, as the density and velocity of the solar wind change, it can affect the ionosphere pretty quickly. Here's the latest image, that one coming in at 8:45. Looking fairly normal at that moment. Next, looking at earthquakes. We'll check out the last 24 hours. Looks like nothing over a 6 magnitude has happened. And just scrolling up the list here. There's one off the coast of Oregon. We've seen quite a few out there. Here's a small deep quake at Alaska, out in the Aleutian Islands. Here's an extremely shallow quake. Let's take a look at that one. It's at 300 meters above sea level. And this one taking place right in Los Padres National Forest, near Santa Barbara. Please leave a comment if you felt the quake. Again, the depth at 300 meters above sea level. Possible magmatic activity going on there. And going back to the list, pretty much a lull in earthquakes here, and we're still seeing a drought of 7 and 8 magnitude quakes. Here's a deep one in Afghanistan. It's 219 kilometers deep and a 4.1 magnitude. Next, looking at volcanoes here on volcanodiscovery.com. Semeru exploding, flight level 12,000 there. Tukono exploding, flight level 7,000 there. Makushin in the Aleutian Islands, showing some earthquake seismic unrest, but no signs of surface activity detected. Cleveland, also in the Aleutian Islands, has had its alert level reduced to yellow. Popocatépetl has dispersed the ash that it's been spewing. Sangay exploding, flight level 19,000 there. Sounds like an uptick at Sangay. And Sabancaya exploding. Please don't pole vault the caldera. It's producing a 24,000 foot plume of ash. Let's talk about galactic jets. This is Centaurus A, a galaxy about 500 million light years away. And these gamma ray jets are thousands of light years in length. Why does it matter? Well, because we talk about things like this during our cosmology segment. Here's an article on phys.org about it, about how the quasar jets are particle accelerators thousands of light years long. And indeed, there are electrical properties going on in those areas. Are there electrical properties between galaxies? Probably not. There would be all kinds of evidence of electron beams. We just don't see that in space. So, but this is an interesting one because it's there are gamma rays, X-rays, etc. Radio frequency, basically the entire electromagnetic spectrum range coming out of these jets. As the massive radio source in the middle blasts protons out of its poloidal field, electrons want to chase down those protons and perform these things we call chemical reactions. So there's also synchrotron radiation happening as electrons traverse and make sudden extreme turns as they head out along that poloidal field, which is where the plasma is oriented. So basically what you've got here is you've got a poloidal field that comes out like this, like a spiral, out of both poles of the massive radio source at the center of that galaxy. And as electrons swirl around these poloidal fields, they emit high energy photons, and that's your synchrotron radiation if you didn't know. And the main output of these poloidal fields is most assuredly hydrogen nuclei. Let's talk about big tech. Who needs the big government when big tech will censor you for free, right? Congratulations to Mark learning how to drink water. Were you aware that Google's having some problems? Well, they're going to have more problems, especially after Donald Trump wins the election by a massive landslide. I guess we'll just continue stressing the fact that big tech can't break the internet, but the internet can break big tech. Especially Google, Facebook, and Twitter. You are so on notice. Completely on notice. As the Trump administration proposes rolling back protections for big tech, something they should 100% do. Now, I've been a little bit critical of big tech since 2016. When it was obvious that Google was intentionally interfering in the U.S. presidential election. In 2020, big tech continues to push narratives of obvious lies, obvious propaganda, and obvious political bias. You can't have it both ways, big tech. You either need to be a publisher or a platform. If you're a platform, you have no liability for what people post, and if you're a publisher, you have 100% liability for what people post. Quit trying to play both sides. Pick your poison. By the way, to reiterate, big tech, you can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. So here's an article from Reuters about it. The Justice Department proposed on Wednesday that Congress take up legislation to curb protections for companies like Alphabet. By the way, if I worked for the board of Alphabet, I would resign and I would move all of my assets to the Seychelles and I would leave to the country. I would leave the U.S. and I would go live in a country with no extradition treaty. Because The activities of big tech are 100% criminal, similar to the activities of Governor Tom Wolf. See, that's what we call a segue in the world of broadcasting. We'd like to recall Tom Wolf. We got a whopping 30 signatures. It turns out the state legislature wants to impeach Tom Wolf. You know why? Because he's a Covidiot. And he's done utterly ineffective things that have done nothing but destroy the Pennsylvania economy. So similar to the elder abuse facilitated by Governor Andrew Cuomo, probably the country's largest Covidiot of all, and probably the largest mass murderer in the world, as he has forced nursing homes to take in people who've tested positive for COVID. A great idea. So thanks governors of Pennsylvania and New York. I'm sure you're never going to live it down. Enjoy the rest of your pathetic lives. Tom Wolf is a Covidiot. And by the way, the Pennsylvania State Representative has introduced an impeachment resolution against Tom Wolf. So cheers. Great idea. Get rid of this idiot and let's send him off the right way on his final term, early, with a kick in the crotch. And just like that, racism is cured. So hey, thanks everybody who's posted black squares. You've cured racism. Well done. And thanks to all you celebrities who take responsibility for things you had nothing to do with. By the way, you can't take responsibility for things you had nothing to do with. Stop being such Covidiots, Americans. Speaking of Covidiots, well, let's see. ConAgra and Mars must be Covidiots, as they're going to undergo a complete brand and repackaging review with Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's and, oh my gosh, Mrs. Butterworth, it's racist. The products are racist. Oh my gosh. PepsiCo announced Wednesday morning that it was scrapping the 130-year-old Aunt Jemima breakfast brand over its racist stereotype. Holy Karens, Batman. Jeez, Karens. There are Karens everywhere. And thank goodness they're going to change the branding of Uncle Ben's and Mrs. Butterworth and Aunt Jemima. And, racism is going to be cured before the year 2020 is complete, folks. Well done. Oh my gosh, you're so smart. You're really doing a fine job making America not suck again. No, seriously, folks. Please do your part in making America not suck again. Because there's some epic suckage going on right now, and I'm not a fan. So it's up to you to make America not suck again. We the people, please participate in the non-suckage of the U.S. Let's get back to data. Windy.com's pressure maps is next on the list, and we're letting this advance into the GFS forecast. Around tomorrow at noon, we'll hit pause. And if you're wondering where I'm located, thanks to all you new viewers, we are located in the Lehigh Valley. Please consider visiting the links below the video and supporting us, because smAsho staff needs a raise, and she makes 25% of our revenue from most revenue streams. There's where we expect pressure cells to be at 12 noon tomorrow. And let's take a look at lightning maps. There's quite a bit of lightning striking right now. Let's check out the north central U.S. Hey, Fargo. If you're in Fargo right now, go outside and look to the east. You may see sprites as there are some significant thunderstorms kicking off. Hey, Detroit Lakes, there's thunder rolling in. For all you viewers out there, lightningmaps.org the next time you hear thunder. Freak out your foes and impress your friends by forecasting thunder before it even arrives. And here's the U.S. Doppler, and so there's a pretty long chain of severe thunderstorms there. Severe thunderstorms and heavy rain across North Dakota as well as northwestern Minnesota. Some snow falling in Wyoming once again, as we're less than 3 days from summer and it continues to snow, an indication that the planet is so hot that it's cold. Next, looking at jet streams of the eastern world, we see extreme meridional jet stream flow here in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, doubled up, tripled up jets 90-degree turns, 180-degree turns in the jet stream. That's the new normal. Here's the Western world's jet streams. And they are all over the place, totally incoherent, flowing the wrong direction down here. If you see the jet stream moving east to west, that's abnormal. Next, looking at water vapor maps here over the areas of Europe and Africa. Water vapor maps over the Far East and Oceania. Water vapor map over the U.S. And we see this stagnating low pressure system here, this upper level low right in this area, which is being held in place by all this dry massive air. And the jet stream is taking its good old time, as again it is all over the place. And let's take a look at what's going on directly over my head. Again, I'm located in eastern Pennsylvania in Lehigh Valley. One of the biggest cycling communities in the world is located less than 15 miles away from me, Trexlertown, Pennsylvania, where the racing is slated to begin again this Saturday. And by the way, I won't be racing because I'd be required to wear a mask in the infield, and I am not sitting there riding rollers and warming up and working on bikes while wearing a mask. So I'll just wait until all of that nonsense is gone, and hopefully Tom Wolfe will be gone by then too. So we've got some dry air and clear skies above my head. Maybe I'll even go out and see if I can see Venus rise. And thanks for flying American smashways, folks. Please keep your head and arms inside the smash plane at all times. And thanks to the Smash team. Whether you're sharing on your social media, leaving us a comment, pressing like and subscribe, we appreciate all of that, so please take a moment to do so. And please visit the links below the video. Head to smashamash.com/forum, perhaps become a patron. And thanks to our patrons for being the real associate and assistant producers of the content. Our main revenue on the channel does come from our patrons. So once again, thanks, and we are still making that credit crawl, folks, so don't despair. You will be named if you want to be. Let us know if you don't want to be, otherwise we will list our patrons as the main contributions to the channel. We're also on Subscribestar. There's also a PayPal link, thanks to our one-time donors, etc. Let's see if we see any umbre associated with that active region. And indeed we don't. It's right here. And I can fairly definitively now say that that is not a sunspot. As if it were, we'd be able to see umbra by now. Here is the magnetogram. And let's see. The leading polarity is North Pole, which makes it another cycle 25 plage. No surprise there, especially based on its high latitude. And let's take a look at one more view here. How about 131 angstroms? It's a 48-hour video from the SDO. Just bear with me one moment. And there's that data for you, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Please follow us on social media. There's a ton of links below the videos every day. And we put up some exclusive content in all locations from time to time. So in any case, allow me to vanish. And wish all of you best wishes. And may that solar wind be at your back.